All right, and we are live. Welcome to the 193rd installment, Unplugged Alpha. We're talking, today was a topic in my community in the school, and it was the best way to have multiple kids and not get wrecked. And my friend that made this request said he's going to watch this 20 times, so I'm counting on that at this point. All right, so before we get started, a little bit of housekeeping again. Top left of the screen, you got a QR code. You scan that, that'll take you to a page that will indicate my communities. I just uploaded a description video to that page the other day, so you'll understand School of Unplugging, School of Entrepreneurship, and the 1%, what all goes on in each one, what the benefits are. Top right of the screen, obviously the books. The entire premise of this channel, this podcast, the Unplugged Alpha, is obviously based on expanding on the book series. If you're unfamiliar, the Unplugged Alpha is volume 1, and Top Shelf Man, the new one, just came out, is volume 2. The audio version, for those that keep asking, will be out February, March, so just chill. It's coming. And in the bottom, if you're newer to my stuff and the channel and the like, make sure you opt in my email list, just entrepreneursandcars.com/red-flags. And there's lots of good stuff coming your way, and it's all totally free. So we're going to do selection process, the LTR component, untying of the knot, scattering of the seeds, or involvement, or level of involvement that we're going to get into. Can women be moms and lovers simultaneously? We're going to answer that question. Also the notion of having multiple kids, multiple women. That's another question that came up as well. And raising unplugged kids. We're going to try to knock this all out in 2 hours. The call-in link for the show, you can join me on StreamYard at any time. That's pinned at the top of the live chat on YouTube, and I'll drop that same link on all the chat kind of halfway through after I run the mid-roll ad and take a little break. So let's get started. The first step in all of this, because a lot of you guys are all like, it's what I want. God commands it. My religion commands it. My family wants it. I want it, whatever. I get it. No problem. The selection process is the most important piece of this. Most of the problems that you're going to end up with, most of the problems that men end up with in LTRs are guys that aren't paying attention during the selection process. Most men's selection process amounts to, she responds to my text and touches my pee-pee, so I'm down. Let's go get married. And that's the way they sort of handle it. Now, I'm going to play a little bit of a clip over here for you, somewhat of a comedy to lighten the mood with the topic, because it's a funny one, and it's going to get serious in certain areas. But this came up my feed earlier today, and it's Tate talking, I guess, on a recent podcast. I know he was just recently in North America. Let's have a listen here, because the fella's asking him about marriage. So we'll start with this component. Can you hear the fear in this guy's voice? I don't know who this is, but can you hear the fear in his voice? You know, let's just play that again. Listen. No sound? You have no sound? Hold on a second. Let me remove this and just check what's going on with the sound there. Stand by. We're having technical difficulties. All right, let's try this again. Window and audio. Here we go. Okay, sorry about that. Let's try that again. Sound is now enabled. All right, here we go.
The guy who gets married.
How big of an
So the question, he goes, is how big of an idiot is a guy that doesn't get a prenup?
How big of an idiot is a guy that doesn't get a prenup?
How big of an idiot is a guy who gets married?
Oh, my girl is over there, my boy.
Yeah.
She's waiting on that.
Well,
You see that? You see it, right?
how big of an idiot is a guy who gets married?
Oh, my girl is over there, my boy.
Yeah.
She's waiting on that.
Well, I'm sorry, but
So are you suggesting that marriage is out of the picture?
what do you gain?
Shit.
Non-emotional. Like, there's men who get married and they go, it's important because I love her. If you want to make emotional decisions, if you want to enter the world of emotional decisions with women, if you want to roll in the mud with a pig and lose, then that's fine.
Yeah.
But as a man, it's your job to be logical. And I'm sitting here saying, I'm not anti-marriage. Just show me what I get.
Yeah.
You're asking me to agree to give away half my stuff if I argue with anyone at any point in the future forever.
Right.
You agree, I'm sitting here, I'm going to pay a whole bunch of money so her uncle can eat a lobster dinner. And I'm going to be publicly humiliated all over the internet when her ex-boyfriend who fucked her silly laughs that I'm walking her down the aisle in a white dress. Okay, cool.
Shit.
So what do I get? And the answer is, well, you get a wife. I already have a wife. I already have her.
You get a couple of years of happiness, a risk of divorce, risk of losing your money, and maybe some kids.
Yeah, well, I got kids anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't see what I get, and I'm not making bad decisions. I'm not stupid. I'm just a logical person. If someone can change the marriage contract to give me what people used to get when they got married not too long ago, which is an obedient virgin, then I'll get married. Yeah. That's what marriage was. You get an obedient virgin who will take care of the house and birth your children, and you take care of her. But now the marriage contract is you get a disobedient, used up female with a big mouth, and you have to take care of her worse than ever because a normal income and a normal life is not what she wants. She wants Ferraris and Birkin bags. So you're paying more and getting less. And I just don't see why I should subscribe to that. I don't have to. Most men do it because they have to get children. I'm top G. I don't have to do that. I can just look at a woman, click my fingers, and she agrees to have my baby. So why do I have to do that?
How big of it?
All right. So you get the point, right? A little bit of comedy. The selection process. If you haven't read my first book, there is a chapter called The 19 Red Flags. You get that for free when you opt in my email list below in that ticker. You can see that there. You also get the green flag chapter, which I'm going to cover in this video as well too. But I'm going to show you what the red flags are because, again, the vast majority of the problems that you're running into can be dealt with in the selection process. You can eliminate the vast majority of the potential problems because his question was, how do I have multiple kids and not get wrecked? Okay. If you're unfamiliar, I'm on Twitter platform X. On the top here, there's articles. I'm slowly publishing articles to my feed. A lot of these have come right out of my books, right? So Hire Slow, Fire Fast, Why Smart Men Don't Marry, Single Moms, Becky the Modern Woman, Why Genuine Burning Desire Matters. You get the idea. There'll be more coming. Follow me on X, just Rich_Cooper. So let's go to the 21 red flags in women. If you're, again, newer to the channel, been doing this for a while, have had thousands and thousands of consults with men. This is aggregated data from my own experiences over the last 10 years, summarized in the book. And, you know, you can get this off of the Unplugged Alpha here on Amazon, okay? If you're new. If you haven't got it, get it. I mean, we'll go over this just one chapter just to make the point. Red flag number one, there's 21. Red flag number one, daddy issues. Obviously, don't deal with chicks that don't respect men, that don't have a good relationship with their father. It always goes wrong. I've never met a guy that has told me, I got divorced and she had a great relationship with her dad. It's always some version of dad wasn't around, dad was a piece of furniture, dad didn't exert his authority in the relationship, mom ran the household, he was a beta, whatever, right? These women that don't respect men, if they don't respect their father, how do you expect them to respect and enter your frame and follow you? You get the point, right? I'm not going to hover over a lot of these too long because there's really a lot to cover tonight. So that's the first red flag, daddy issues. And we got the next one, feminists. Now, women in the West are the different kind of feminists from like other women in other parts of the world. Like Eastern Europeans will often say that I'm a feminist. And what they're really saying is they just want to be treated equally and nicely. But most women, when they exert the statement, I'm a feminist, big red flag. Any Western country, any Western nation, modern developed, North America, Australia, New Zealand, Western Europe, you get the point. They tend to avoid traditional feminine cues. They don't want to do the pink jobs. They don't want you to do the blue jobs. They kind of want to blend those things up. It's like they'll say, well, I'll go and shovel the driveway if you go and make the dinner, sort of thing. And that doesn't work. You talk to any guy that's been married for a long time, and I've done this many a times. I've talked to many of these guys. The answer is always the same. One of the keys to the success of a long-term relationship or marriage is women resign themselves to the pink jobs and the men resign themselves to the blue jobs. There's a pile of snow in the driveway. You go take care of it. You're the man. Simple as that. She has a problem with a flat tire. Sort it out, right? Mealtime, guess who's cooking? It's got to be her, right? I get guys that sometimes protest, but I like cooking, Rich, and it's kind of my thing. Fine, cook. I don't really care, right? But make sure that she's taking on the burden of the main paint jobs, for the most part. Guys will be like, well, the best chefs in the world, Rich, they're all men. Argue all you want. All I'm saying is don't invite a woman that identifies as a feminist into your life, right? They're the kind of gals that like to mutilate their body with tattoos and facial piercings. They're overweight. They're often told by media, or they tell their friends or their peers, never do anything for the express benefit or pleasure of a man. Not in those exact words, but things like, why would I do insert whatever, like give him a massage or be pleasant, for a day, or make him a nice meal, something that he likes. Why would I do that? He should do that for me, right? Nonsense. Stay away from toxic feminists. They're a nightmare. They're a headache. The unhappy and unlucky. That's the next one. Now, this is straight out of Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power. This is just a general rule in life, guys. Just stay away from people, men and women, that are typically the unhappy and the unlucky. It doesn't just apply to chicks, but a lot of guys like going through life with like a Captain Save-A-Ho sort of mentality. And they'll swoop in and try to rescue these chicks from their own terrible existence and decisions. The unhappy and unlucky go from man to man, draining them of their joy and their fortune. They are a magnet for drawing drama into their life and yours, therefore only associate with happy and lucky women. She competes with you. And again, all of this is on my articles feed. You can also get it by opting in on my email list. She competes with you. Sometimes you'll hear women say things like, well, don't you want a challenge? Right. I remember I did this podcast a few years ago, Danica Patrick, the ex-race car driver. You can go look it up. It's on her channel. And she brought up this notion of, well, don't men want a challenge? No, I don't want a challenge. I don't want to deal with all the shit I got to do with him in my day-to-day life and then have an argument with you over some nonsense. No, men don't want a challenge. Women that try to compete with men, I want you to understand something. Women are hypergamous, right? So they need to be with their absolute best hypergamous option. They got to look up to a giant. They have to admire the man, right? They have to adore him. There's always an adorer and the adored. You want to be the adored as a man, okay? She wants to be with the giant. You rob her of that if you allow her, or if you play these competition games with her, okay? These boss girls, you see them all over social media. It's a red flag, because when they compete with you, she thinks that she's better than you. A woman that thinks that she's better with you than you will not respect you and ultimately try to undermine you. If she thinks that she's better than you, she's going to test you and she's going to try to compete with you, right? Don't you want a challenge, guys? No, not into challenges. If I want challenges, I'll go out with my boys and I'll challenge them, right? We like to compete with each other. That's what men do. Men compete with one another, right? When you win, your testosterone levels go up. When you lose, your testosterone levels go down. Proven fact. You drive a Porsche, your testosterone levels go up. You drive a Camry, your testosterone levels go down. These are all things that have been studied. You can go look them up. Don't take my word for it. But don't deal with chicks that try to compete with you. Red flag number 5. She keeps men from her past around. If a woman is asking to claim you, okay, hey, where do we stand? Where's this going? I dig your vibe, Rich. What are we? Blah, blah, blah sort of thing. If she's keeping dudes around from her past, well, I was with the guy for 10 years and we're just friends now. And we like to get a coffee like a couple times a year, or when he comes into town. And it's like, no. Nobody fucks more girlfriends and wives than he's just a friend. Okay. There's no room in any kind of a relationship that you're going to run as a guy, because frame is a strong component of it. One of the areas that we deal with in my school of unplugging, again, the QR code on the top left of your screen, you can join that. $77 a month. There's tons and tons of incredible information in there. One of the main components of the frame issue is when a chick's coming to you and goes, hey, I'd really like to, be something with you. Where are we going? I want to be your girlfriend sort of thing. That's the time when you examine and evaluate her life. And you take a look at it and you go, yeah, really like you too, but I just don't take women seriously that keep guys from their past around. You were engaged to this guy. I just don't, that's just not me. I just can't take you seriously. Like, you want me to look after you? You want me to be in a relationship with you? You want me to take you out and do things with you? I'm not going to do that with a woman that like keeps her ex-boyfriend around as just a friend, or has a work husband. That's another stupid one that women like to cook up a lot these days. They got like a work husband or like a work boyfriend or some shit like that. Absolute nonsense. You got to move away from stuff like that. Stay away from women like that. There should be no room in the selection process for that kind of nonsense, gentlemen. You understand? A lot of these women are also alpha widows. It's another point that I made in this article here, and they tend to keep guys from the past around. Again, you know, women that have been with a whole bunch of guys, and it doesn't even have to be a big number. Okay, when you overlay the heritage study with the Teachman study, the data starts to go downhill after like 2 or 3 prior partners. Good luck finding a chick that hasn't been with at least a few guys. Most of them, it's been many more than that. But they tend to get alpha widowed eventually at some point. And then they pine for the guy. And it's like at some point they reach out to him or some shit, especially if there's a fight or something going on. That's just how chicks are, right? You don't want a woman that keeps guys around from her past, that talks to guys from her past, that has a past, that has been alpha widowed by guys. You know, if there's any indication that she still has any kind of feelings for a guy from her past, you can't take her seriously. Again, this is all part of the selection process. I know at some point during this, and I'm only on red flag number 5, maybe by the time I get to the green flags, I don't know. But at some point, you guys are all going to be in the comments and be like, yeah, you've just eliminated everything. You've just literally eliminated most of the chicks out there. We'll deal with that in a little bit too. But don't invite a chick into your life. Don't take a woman seriously. Certainly don't have children with a woman that have a ton of these red flags. Some of them are workable. We'll get to that point in a little bit when we get to the end. If she's bad with money, red flag number 6. Okay. If you are unfamiliar, I ran one of Canada's most successful debt negotiation companies in the debt consolidation space for many, many years. I did an earn-out buyout several years ago. My brother still runs the business. You can go look it up. It's at the end of this video and the outro reel. It's called Total Debt Freedom. And I'm very, very familiar with the dynamic between men and women when it comes to debt, credit applications, loan facilities, mortgages, second mortgages, and all this sort of stuff. If a woman's got terrible habits with money, she has debt, she has a whole bunch of handbags and shoes and a stack of credit card debt that comes along with it, dude, you're going to be dealing with that. And that's a headache that you do not need to contend with. You just don't. Stay away from chicks that have problems with money. One of the complaints that you hear sometimes, and I heard it when I was running the Ladies Night podcast for several episodes, you know, chicks will say something, well, you know, I broke up with my ex-husband, or I divorced him, or I broke up with my ex-boyfriend because he was financially abusive. And you'd be like, financially abusive? What does that mean? Can you explain that to me? Well, you know, he just, you know, he wouldn't let me spend money on certain things, or, you know, he cut me off and wouldn't let me buy something or whatever. And it's like, so he set a budget. Like he wanted you to be financially responsible and he set a budget and you didn't like that. So you're calling it financial abuse. Like that's what this shit boils down to. If she doesn't respect money, if she doesn't respect the value of money, she doesn't respect any boundaries that you set around money, kick her to the streets. You don't need to deal with that headache. She's going to rob you of your wealth. Trust me. Next one, violent women. This should be self-explanatory. This is an absolute no-go zone. Like I said earlier, like some of these are potentials that you can work with. Okay. Like if a chick's bad with money and she seeks on her own, you know, how to get out of debt, how to manage the money, sets herself a budget, improves her financial tendencies, that's something you can work with. But you can't work with violent women. Once she's proven that she's a violent chick, and I've talked to guys that have had knives thrown at them, they've been stabbed with forks in the leg. And by the way, when the cops get called for domestic violence stuff, it's almost always the guy that's dragged away in handcuffs. There's no room for that shit. Don't date them. No friends with benefits. Nothing. Cut. Like as soon as you hear the bitch is violent, done. Okay. Are you paying attention? Next one, extreme jealousy. Extreme jealousy. It's a red flag. It's kind of one that you can sometimes work on. Sometimes you can't, depending on what it's like. You know, women want to be with a man that other women want. Okay. We already know that. I talk about it in the first book. I've talked about it in videos. It's covered in the 380 section of the Top Shelf Man, my most recent book, from a different perspective. But the dichotomy of female nature is always going to be something that guys are going to struggle with, because a degree of jealousy, it's also known as competition anxiety, is a good thing because it keeps her working to keep you, because she recognizes that other women like you. But it comes undesirable when the woman is so insecure in themselves that they always make her problems your problems, distracting you from your purpose. Okay. It's going to be like a predator drone. She's always going to be watching everything. She's going to constantly text, scan through your receipts in your pockets, go through shit, see where you've been, what was ordered on the receipts, look for hairs in your car, in your bathroom, all kinds of stuff like this. She'll want to look in your phone, creep women that follow you on social media, everything. Okay. Like there's a healthy amount of competition anxiety that needs to exist. She's going to say something like, who is that bitch? How do you know her? Or something like that. It's just like, whatever. That's just Becky from the blah, 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 or something like that. She lets it go. That's good. Fine. No problem. But if she starts fucking following Becky, direct messaging Becky, doing all kinds of insane shit, doing drive-bys your house, to see what's going on, asking questions that are like really ridiculous, you don't want to deal with jealousy in that sense. Again, like a degree of jealousy is good. A third degree of jealousy, don't. You have to, and that's going to have to be something that you're going to have to manage a little bit with frame and game, with an LTR when you kind of get through that. We'll deal with that separately. Red flag number 9, party girls. Look, women are going to go through a party phase. Okay. Most women are going to go through a party phase. So, some of them just don't do it. Some of them will get married at like 19, 20, and they'll stay married for the rest of their life. Rarely happens. What usually happens if they get married really young, they get divorced like by the time the kids are like 12, 13 or something like that. They're 39 years old. And they watched Eat, Pray, Love or some shit with Julia Roberts, or one of their girlfriends getting divorced, and they tell them some story about how great it is, and you can still have all the money and not have to put up with his dumb ass either, and blah, 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 and all that sort of stuff. So party girls will like to go through this phase of YOLO, let's go out and party, get drunk. Sometimes it happens in their 20s. For most women, it happens in their 20s. For some women, it's like they skip it because they get married young, and then they'll go and do it in their like late 30s or 40s, stuff like that. But bottom line is, you can't take chicks like that seriously. If they're spending 2-3 hours doing their hair, their makeup, they're curling, they're putting on the bra, the high heels, the Spanx, everything. Okay. They're spending a lot of time making themselves look as attractive and as pretty as they can possibly look. And they're going to go and tell you, oh, you shouldn't be so insecure or so jealous or something like that and controlling. I do this for me and my girlfriends. Bullshit. Because if you just did it for you and your girlfriends, you'd all get together in your pajamas and hang out in your house, eating Cheetos and just sitting around shooting the shit that way. It's always like a process of like getting ready for the party. You got the pregame, you got the drinks before you go out, you got the drinks after, you got the da-da-da-da, and all that sort of stuff. You don't want to deal with party girls. They're validation seekers. It's just bad news bears, man. This is where women start to rack up their notch counts. Women have a party phase. The shorter it is, the better it is for you. Again, this is something that you identify in the selection phase. When you identify that she was a party girl, it's easy. You meet her, she's 31, and you go, hey, nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. What have you been up to? What did you do in your 20s? Tell me about it. Oh, I did some traveling. Oh, yeah. So where'd you travel? Well, I worked on a Carnival cruise boat for a couple of years, and then I did Europe, and then I came back and I worked in the blah, blah, blah bar scene in Las Vegas. Then I went back to Europe again, and then I worked on another cruise ship for another year. It's like, my friend, stay away. Like, learn to identify the red flags, okay? You can keep her as a plate if you want, but it's like she's probably not going to get promoted, right? At some point, she's going to start asking questions like, what are we? Where's this going? Like after she spent the night out partying till 4 o'clock in the morning and she's passed out on your fucking couch in your lap at 7 p.m. on Saturday while she was partying on Friday and Thursday and probably Wednesday and again on Sunday. Just stay away from party girls, right? They're always looking for the attention of others. They're always looking for validation. They're drinking, they're smoking, they're doing drugs. They're doing a lot of guys. You get the point. Red flag number 10, heavily tattooed and pierced women. I get pushed back on this one a lot. And to be honest, I don't give a fuck. There's a direct correlation between shitty women and tattoos and piercings. The best example that I can give you is I have a friend that is an ER doctor, and he's worked for years in the emergency room. And he tells me every single time a girl comes in and she's been beat up, roughed up, or getting checked for STDs, she's covered in tattoos. It is what it is. You know, they sit in a chair for hours and days on ends where a man sits there piercing her body over and over again. I remember I was talking to Elliot Hulse about this because he was asking me about tattoos, and, you know, we're going through the red flags and stuff. And the thing that put him off, and he's got tattoos, was I just can't get over the idea of my woman sitting in a chair and another man penetrating her body over and over again, you know, putting ink in her, sort of thing. And by the way, I've had tattoo artists on my podcast before. You can go back and, you know, search the older series, but I don't know if it was on Before the Trainer or one of the others. But to summarize, most tattoo artists are banging most of their female clients, right? So they're hoes. They're just, it's just not a good scene, right? When women are heavily tattooed and they got lots of piercings, and I'm not talking about like an earring piercing or maybe like a small cute nose ring diamond. I'm talking about nipples, like a row all the way down the ear, like other body parts, clit, belly button, everything. Okay. It's too much. It's too much. It's like they like to abuse their body. And they always give you some bullshit about, oh, well, there's a story behind that tattoo, and there's a story behind that, and there's a da-da-da-da behind that. It's like, yeah, you're basically saying you got nothing but baggage, essentially. Okay, so that's number 10. Again, this is part of the selection process. And I realize, guys, right now you're going, yeah, but you're eliminating too many of the women, Rich. Take on the headaches. I don't care. It's your life, not mine. I'm not going to take on this nonsense. I just don't. Big notch counts. Red flag number 11. Talked about it earlier. Go look at the Teachman overlay, the Teachman study versus the Heritage study. I've done lots of videos on the issue with notch counts, and I'll put it in perspective for you right here with this image. I don't know if you can see it on your screen. Let's go larger. I don't know how many guys that is, 50, 75. How many guys in history do you think have ever said, I wish my wife had banged 50 or 75 more guys before I got married? Think about that. How many guys have ever said that in their entire fucking life? They're fucking disgusted by whores. And that's just the way that guys are. And you can try to look the other way. You can pretend it's not real, but men are disgusted by promiscuous women. And the same is not true for men that have been promiscuous in the past, because women actually want what other women want. And the fact that you've got a past with other women makes you more desirable to that woman, believe it or not. Most women aren't put off by the fact that you might have been promiscuous. That's just the way that it is. I'm sorry that that's true, but that's the differences between men and women, and we're not the same. That's just reality of life, right? Big notch counts. We already covered that. I'm not going to beat on that one too long. Number 12, single moms. There's an entire chapter in my first book breaking down all the reasons why you do not want to invite a single mom into your life. You're essentially a cuckold. You are signing up for your own cuckoldry, raising some other dude's kid, because that's what you end up doing. It's not like, you know, a lot of women will date a guy with a kid, but she doesn't raise that kid. She doesn't get involved with it, really. But guys will routinely sign up to date a single mom. They'll move them into their house. They'll move like little Billy and Jimmy and Sally and Becky in, and they'll take care of the bills and everything. And it never fucking works out. I've talked to probably over 1,000 guys now in private consults that have shared all the stories and the headaches that they've gone through. And I'm going to save you the nightmare. It's just not worth it. Date them if you want, have some fun. I don't care. But don't invite them in your life. You don't, like, they are not material that you want to raise a family with and have multiple kids with and not get wrecked. If she's got a couple kids from a couple of different guys, you think she's going to be loyal to you after she's just, you know, got all these kids from a bunch of different guys? She's going to stick with you? She's already proved to you that she won't. That, and you really want to deal with a woman who shared her body, her uterus with another man, right? You want new, fresh. Come on, guys, smarten up. Now, there was a guy in my community that wrote this post the other day. I'm not going to read it because it's long, but one of the things that stood out that I've heard over and over again, you know what her priorities were, Rich? He goes, her job, the HR lady, her son, then her daughter, then her baby daddy number one, then baby daddy number two, then her girlfriends when they would go out, then the bills around the house, then the chores around the house. And by the time you got to like 10 or 11, I was priority number 10 and 11, he would say. I've made the mistake myself in the past. I've seen other guys make the mistake in the past. Spread the word. Do not invite it into your life, guys. There's plenty of Captain Save-A-Ho simps out there that will swoop in and take care of it. These women always land on their feet. They always find some goofball that will wife them up and look after them and some other dude's kid and pay for it and just ruin their own lives. Just let some other guy do it. It's not worth it. You don't want to go out there and have kids with a chick that's already had a bunch of kids. Forget it. Red flag number 13, women seeking validation. If she's using social media routinely in a provocative and salacious way, what does that look like? Here's the difference between a good girl and a bad girl. A good girl will probably have a private social media, a private Instagram, for example, uses it for family events, sort of archiving pictures and photographies and stories and narratives and things like that. She might even have a business. If she has a business, then it's probably going to have to be public facing. You probably don't want to deal with the chick that's like, you know, in the business of selling bikinis and models her bikini pictures or lingerie, for example, because, hey, you know, that's what she's going to be. That's what you're signing up for. So just know what you're getting into. Okay. Now you're getting into like chicks that aren't the greatest. The worst ones that have validation seeking type of behavior, the worst ones are they're not using social media for connecting with family and friends and staying in touch with nieces and nephews and brothers and sisters and mom and dad and grandparents, stuff like that. They're using it to post salacious, provocative photographs on Instagram to get the attention and validation of guys. When I came back from Dubai a few weeks ago, a couple episodes back, I showed you there's a pool that faces the Burj Khalifa. It's called Address Skyview. If you ever go there, you should check it out. It's worth just sitting there for the day to see this shit go on because it goes on all day long. Women are having either their girlfriends or their guy take pictures of them, sometimes with wardrobe changes all day long to get the right shot. Okay. And they're being very provocative with these photographs. Like I'm talking like right in front of their boyfriend. The boyfriend's over there taking the picture and she gets up on the infinity pool over the glass wall, pulling her thong up. Okay. Like flossing her butt to get the right shot. And he's taking the picture and she's going to put it on social media to get likes, validation, and attention from other men. There should be no time in your life dealing with that shit. If she wants you, if she's like, hey, I dig your vibe. Where's this going? Rich, what are we? You know, can I be your girlfriend sort of thing? Then at that point, you just look at them and you say, well, I like you too, but I just don't take women seriously that post provocative photographs online. Oh, well, you're controlling. Why are you so insecure? Bye. See you later, Becky. Next, you just replace them because you've got options, because you're that guy, right? Don't deal with women that are constantly seeking validation. You have to quash that immediately. And a lot of women, I'll be perfectly honest with you, a lot of women, they won't enter your frame. Even if you're a fantastic guy, top shelf, tall, handsome, well put together, got a good job, drive a nice car, got 2-3 nice cars, have a nice house. A lot of women would be like, well, you're just controlling, so fuck you, and I'm going to go on and do whatever I want. And these are the kind of chicks that just go from guy to guy to guy to guy to guy because they're broken. They just can't enter the frame of a top shelf guy. They don't know how to be led, right? So there's that notion as well too. But just red flag number 13, just stay away from chicks that are constantly seeking attention and validation online. It's not a good look. Red flag number 14, she's a sugar baby, OnlyFans, or a sex worker. Should be fairly straightforward. She's basically a prostitute, an online prostitute, whatever. One of the guys in my community showed me a video the other day We were discussing this in the school of unplugging, and it was a 10-minute video, and the title of the video was something along the lines of this movie took 10 years to make. And the entire video is about him, how he got divorced, how he met this younger gal who interviewed him. She was like 15 years younger. He was in his 40s. She was in her 20s. And he slowly like shows photographs of her, and a lot of them, they're like, she's in a bikini, and she's in like a workout outfit, and she's got a nice body. She's well put together. You can see at the point where he bought her tits, and things. He's very proud of all of this. And he's telling the story about how he wouldn't be there if it wasn't for her, and blah, 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 and all that sort of stuff. And the guy that posted it, he said something along the lines of, but there's a story there, and it's 2 letters. And you go and look at it, and you click the links, and it's like, she's got an OnlyFans. This guy married a chick, put her at the center of his world, bought her some tits, and now she's running an OnlyFans, right? It's like, guys, have some dignity for yourself. Like, don't be that kind of a loser, right? Should be self-explanatory. Number 15, pathological liars. Everybody lies. Men lie, women lie. Some can't help but to be pathological liars. These kinds of chicks are absolutely dangerous. These are the kind of girls that'll be like, oh, well, I can't get pregnant, so just go inside me because I'm on birth control or some shit. And then, before you know it, you got a kid, and, she baby trapped you, sort of thing. They'll lie to you about their whereabouts. They'll lie to you about everything. They're like, women lie anyway, but they'll lie to you beyond things that will become problematic for you. And if you discover somebody's a pathological liar, just absolutely don't, because they will do something eventually that will put your health, your wealth, or your reputation at risk and make you look like a dickhead. Just don't do it. I remember when I was young, there was this gal that I dated, my first girlfriend actually, and I had a sport bike at the time. I drove this Suzuki Katana, and she kept talking about having this Ninja. I got a motorcycle. It's stored at my mom's house. She lived with her dad. Her parents were divorced. But it was never available for like a long time. And I used to love riding, and I thought it'd be cool to ride with a chick that had a bike. It was, like an interesting idea for me at the time for some reason. And she kept telling me the story about the bike, but it was never available. It started at my mom's house. Like, well, let's go get it. There was always an excuse. And I remember one time I was getting gas for my car, and I thought to myself, I'm going to trap this bitch because I know she's lying. And I think at the time, my car cost me like, I don't know, $25 to fill up with regular fuel. Obviously, this is dating me. This was a while ago, but this is when gas was cheaper. And it would cost me like $25 to fill up like a, 30-liter tank, 35-liter tank. And my bike at the time was a Gixxer 750, had a 21-liter tank, which is it was a 21-liter tank, which was like the biggest gas tank you could find on just about any sport bike. The Ninjas were like, I don't know, I think they were 4.5 gallons, 5 gallons or something like that. Not much, like 18 liters. So it would cost me like, I don't know, let's just say $25 to fill up the car. The bike would cost me like $7 to fill up. So I'm filling up the car. I get in the car. She's sitting there, and I go, by the way, what does it cost you to fill up that Ninja that you got? And she didn't know the gas tank's a lot smaller in a bike, because she was lying the whole time. She goes, about $25. And I was like, gotcha, bitch. You're lying. I knew you were lying, right? So like, get good at reading people. This is a skill that is needed for life in business transaction, negotiating deals, and of course, dealing with women. Stay the fuck away from pathological liars. Baby rabies should be fairly straightforward. A chick that just wants a baby. She just wants a baby. She doesn't want your baby. She wants a baby. She's running out of eggs. She's seeing her friends have kids. She's got nieces and nephews, and she's all over you like a fat kid on cake. Just like, I want a baby. I want a baby. I want a baby. And it's like, no. If you're going to have kids with a chick, you need to vet her for a couple of years, identify the red flags, clarify the green flags, of course. But she needs to do it on your agenda. And the thing that you want to hear absolutely is, I want your baby. You know how good looking our children will be because of you, Rich? I want them to have your height and your eyes and blah. Like, you want to hear shit like that. You don't want to hear, I just want a baby, right? Because all she's doing is she's looking for a guy that's just good enough. This is one of the reasons why I believe a lot of marriages end in divorce nowadays, is because women, they'll go through the party years. They don't lock down the guy that they want. They start to get desperate, and then they'll settle for a guy, and he's just good enough. You know, he has probably enough money. He's okay looking enough or good enough looking for her to want to reproduce with him. But that's like, that goes away after a while. Like once you have the kid and you're living together and you're in close proximity and you're familiar with each other and she's got assurance of sexual exclusivity and all that sort of shit, like that's when things start to go to hell. And that's when women start to get divorced, because she didn't really like you that much. So don't deal with chicks that have baby rabies. It's fine that she wants to have kids, but don't deal with a chick that's like 39, you met her on a dating app, and her opening line to you is, I want to have kids. Do you want to have kids? You know, sort of thing. Because my friend, all she's done is she's spent her entire youth getting dicked down by everybody that didn't commit to her. And now she wants you to clean up that mess and have a family with her when she's at like the end. Come on. Don't deal with women that have baby rabies. That's red flag number 16. Again, you can go read all of this stuff, guys. It's in my book. You understand? Hissy fits, number 17. A lot of women have hissy fits. Okay. When you say no to them, watch how they respond. Very simple. Watch how they respond. If they have a meltdown, they have a hissy fit. You can't talk to me like that. Why are you treating me like this? I can't. They have a complete spaz, or they stomp off. Whatever. You don't want a chick that doesn't have the social maturity required to process emotions. Hissy fits are what children do. I remember when my kid was little, she didn't get her way. No, you don't get that. On the ground, face down, fist banging, legs kicking, crying. That's what 2-3-year-olds do, because they don't know how to regulate themselves. If a mature woman, an adult woman, is still having hissy fits, then you do not deal with them. Just simple. Like I just don't respond to that nonsense. You don't argue with them. You don't try to negotiate with that nonsense. You just don't deal with them. There's ways to try to manage that and fix that. Like this is one of the red flags that you could potentially fix. You know, you can kind of tell her like, look, you know, I like you. I like what we're doing so far. But the way that you deal with no, the way that you have like these spazzes and these hissy fits, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And you make it very, very clear, and you remove yourself and you remove your attention from her so that she gets it. And then you look for improvements in the behaviors. We can talk about that in another video, but red flag number 17, hissy fits. Just don't deal with that shit. Read this chapter again. Red flag number 18, be in control of the birth. Look, a lot of guys, I get it. You know, sex is fun. Sex is fun. A lot of guys just trust her. I'm on the pill. I've got a hormonal IUD in there. I get an injection every 90 days, blah, 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 whatever. You have to have absolute certainty before you start moving to a segment in the relationship where she's just like, just go inside. It's totally safe. I'm on birth control, sort of like, make sure you understand female reproduction, understand how the birds and the bees are made, because that's 20 years of, sorry, it's not even 20 years. It's a lifetime of bullshit you're going to have to put up with her. Okay. If you put a baby in the wrong chick, I've seen many men ruin their fucking lives because of 5 or 10 or 15 minutes of fun. Be in control of the birth. Okay. That's why it's called birth control. You be in control of it, because once your seed leaves your body, you have no rights after that whatsoever. Number 19, drama queens. Again, this kind of ties into hissy fits. If she's the kind of chick that's going to make mountains out of molehills, you shouldn't have time for that. Again, you don't want a challenge. You don't want to deal with nonsense in your life. You want peace. Okay. You want a peaceful life when it comes to a chick. She should bring peace to your life. Very, very simple. Women don't have a difficult job to keep men around. Keep my stomach full and my dick hard, and that's all you got to do. But women that deliver hissy fits and drama, they make mountains out of molehills, you should have no time for it. You know what I'm talking about. I shouldn't have to explain it to you. Number 20, addictions. And it's not just like smoking or drugs or alcohol. Addictions can be things like shopping and returning shit. That's exhausting. Addictions can be, they're all about like The Bachelorette or some stupid TV series, following it very closely, checking in on the characters on social media, yammering on about it all the time, talking to her girlfriends. I was at the gym today, walking on the treadmill, trying to get my uphill steps in, and this fucking chick, 2 treadmills over, is yammering on her phone, yapping about some TV show to her girlfriend. I'm like these kinds of addictions are problematic. Okay. Again, it's not just drugs. It's not just alcohol. If a chick is constantly going out and buying shit, like if you're dealing with a chick that goes out and buys like 5 lamps, brings them home, puts them all on her nightstand to look at them to see which one that she likes, and then has to bring 4 back to the store to return them, and that's how she spends her spare fucking time, do you think she's going to be a compliment to your life? Do you think that she's going to, be there when you're trying to put a dent in the universe? Do you think that if you get sick, she's going to look after you? No, she's not. Chicks that have addiction, like that's what their focus is. Stay away from chicks that have addictive personalities. Her only addiction should be you, essentially. She should have genuine burning desire for you. That's it. And not in a psychopathic way either, by the way. We covered GBD in the last week's podcast. Red flag number 21. She can't be led. If you're doing all of this shit, and this is the one that kind of like sums it all up. If you're doing all this stuff and you're trying to lead the relationship and you're running the game, and you're setting the boundaries and you're saying no to shit and you're using soft necks and all the tools and techniques that I talk about, and she doesn't adapt, she cannot be fucking led. At some point, you just have to be like, fuck this, I'm out. Okay? Because you're going to spend the rest of your life trying to manage this unhinged thing. And I get it. Like, women for the most part are fairly difficult. They're genuinely not that easy. But if she can't be led, if she doesn't want to be led, if she doesn't want to enter your frame, and you're genuinely a successful guy, you're handsome, you got money, you drive nice cars, you got a good network, you've developed some renown for yourself, you're recognizable, you've got a good social connection. If she's not falling in line, then just replace her. Honestly, guys, like just don't fucking waste your time, because it's just exhausting. You're going to shave years off your life. All of these red flags will shave years off your life. Okay. So there's that. That's the first part. That's the simplest thing that I can start out with, is the selection process deals with that and that alone. All right. What's the next point we got here? Untying the knot, scatter seeds. Oh, let's talk about green flags. I didn't put it on the article yet. I have to add it still. So these are what you want to look for. Finding your tribe. Green flags, 122. So this is my new book. You can get this when you opt into my email list below. I'm going to breeze over this. I believe I did an episode on green flags if you go back about a month or two. So I'm not going to spend too much time on it. You want to look for the bright triad traits. You want to look for a chick that's high on agreeableness, conscientiousness, low on neuroticism, has emotional maturity. Again, I broke that all down in that podcast just on green flags. Here's some other green flags. She adopts your interest and views. If your political views are conservative or libertarian, if your musical tastes involve, rock and roll and heavy metal, if your pastimes involve supercar rallies and shit like that, her next step, a wise woman that really likes a guy that wants to be in his frame and be with the guy, will adopt his interests and views. Look for women that adopt your interests and views, right? She takes care of you when you're sick. Should be fairly straightforward. What happens when you get sick? You got a cold. She's like, don't be a bitch. You got a man cold. I'm not going to do anything. Or does she bring you like chicken soup? Do you need any cough medicine? Can I go out and pick something up for you? Right? Like, you want a chick that when you're not at your best, is there to fill in the gap, to mend you, if you will. She's a compliment to your life. Should be fairly straightforward. She looks for ways to be complimentary in your life, add value to it, make you look good. Watch how she reacts when she's not getting her own way. We kind of talked about in the Hissy Fit. She's agreeable to you. She seeks a connection with your family and friends. A good chick that you want to invite in your life, you know, if we're talking about the best way to have kids and not get wrecked, you want to look for a chick that's like, she seeks a connection with your family. And if you've got kids, you know, your kids. If she doesn't seek those connections on her own, like you should have to sit her down and be like, you know, why are you being a bitch to my mom, sort of thing? You know, it's like, just figure it out. Like a good chick will find a way to form a good connection with important family members, even if you don't like them. She subscribes to the idea of blue jobs and pink jobs. We talked about that earlier. She doesn't do things to put the relationship in jeopardy. For example, hey, Rich, I'm going to go to Becky's bachelorette party in Las Vegas in 6 weeks. So put it in your calendar. What? Don't deal with chicks like that. That's an example of a chick putting the relationship in jeopardy. That shouldn't even be like, she shouldn't even be asking you stupid questions like that, or stating that she's going to do it. She shouldn't even be asking you for permission to do things like that. It should just be completely off the table, because a smart woman would be wise to never do anything that puts the relationship in jeopardy, that makes it difficult. Another one that I have here is she's got to be younger than you. I see guys routinely make the mistake. I mean, you know, the question here is, what's the best way to have multiple kids and not get wrecked? Well, if you're dating a chick that's older than you, women have an expiry date when it comes to having children. Are you retarded? You know how many guys I've talked to that are with chicks that are like 9 years, 5 years, 2 years, 14 years? You see it all the time in the call-in times. You know, you see it all the time when I have my private one-on-ones. It's like, I'll talk to a guy that's 31. He's like, yeah, I got this girl and she's 42 and she's got a couple of kids. And, you know, I'm not really sure what I should do, you know, because I'm thinking about, you know, having kids, and these kids are kind of assholes to me. And I don't know what to, it's like, just leave, dude. You already know what to do. If you want to have kids and not get wrecked, you need to deal with a chick that's younger than you. She takes some accountability. It's very rare that women take accountability. If a woman says something like, Rich, you're right, everything you've said is correct, and I fucked up, good sign. Accountability. She takes care of her appearance and health. You should have no time. I mean, look, if you're going to have children with this lady, because this is the question that you're asking, you should have no time for a chick that doesn't manage her appearance and her health. If she, you know, looked good when you met her, but that's going downhill fast, she's packing on maximum density and starting to look like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man because she's eating everything in sight. It's a no-go zone, man. It's like, take a look at her mom. You know, like, one of the best pieces of advice that I got young is take a look at her mom. If her mom is like not in good shape and a fucking mess, she's eventually going to look like that, honestly. Another good green flag is she makes plans with you into the future. So not just like, hey, you know, in 6 months, let's take a vacation, or in 6 months, I got this event, I'd like you to be my +1 sort of thing. I'm talking like, you know, in 3 years, in 5 years, that's a strong sign that she's making future plans and that it's about long term, right? A woman indicates that she's like, because again, the question is, the best way to have multiple kids and not get wrecked. You don't want the chick to leave you, and if she's making plans well into the future with you, that's a good sign. It's a green flag. She wants you to drive the car, right? Again, like blue jobs and pink jobs, guys. Men, you should be driving the car. I can't tell you how many times I'm driving around and I look around and I see the fucking dude in the passenger seat like an absolute gimp while she's driving the car and the kids are in the back seat. I remember one time I'm sitting there having a coffee in the morning and I'm looking out the window, and there was a lady that walked out to her car, and she got in the car and sat down, and she had this like scowl on her face, like one of those fucking bitches, right? And then shortly after she got in the car, there was a guy that walked out of the house with a baby in his hand. And he gets into the back of the car, opens it up, puts the baby in, straps the kid in, walks around the back of the car and gets in the other side of the back of the car and gets in the back seat and sits with the baby. That's bad news bears, man. If she wants you to drive, and even if she comes over to your house and she parks behind your car, she should just automatically hand you the fucking keys and say, you drive. You shouldn't have to say, let me drive, or give me the keys, or I'm not going to let you drive my car. I'm not going to let a man drive my car. This is my car. Forget about that shit. That's red flag. Bye. Next. Genuinely happy, positive, and doesn't play the victim. She genuinely craves sexual intimacy with you. She should initiate sexual intimacy with you. You know how many guys are in sexless marriages right now? And these dorks go around and they somehow find some chick who's a fucking relationship expert, you know, who's married or something like that, telling guys, well, just do more chore play. Find ways to make the marriage more exciting and she'll eventually want to have sex with you, sort of thing. Look, if she's not initiating with you organically from time to time on her own, forget it. Keeps social media private. We talked about that. There's a lot more in this. So this is one of the chapters in the Top Shelf Man. If you haven't gotten it, get it off Amazon. In my opinion, it's a far better than the first book. The first book sold like 500,000 copies. It's a great piece. The reviews are fantastic. This one, in my opinion, is far, far better for guys in the modern world to deal with. Okay. What are we at? We're at an hour. Guys, like the video, comment. You're supposed to say stuff like that on YouTube. Anyway, so we've talked about the selection process now. We've covered it from red flag angle, green flag angle. Don't ask me this question again. I've given you the tools. Book 1 is red flags. Book 2 is green flags. Book 2 also deals with long-term management. Book 1 deals more with understanding the basics. What are we going to cover here? Because I only want to go for another hour. Okay, let's go back to my tabs over here because I had a few other things. Okay, let's talk about disrespect. So I bookmarked this because I thought it was a great piece. I mean, obviously, this is an acting piece. Nobody would film this and it would happen organically, but you get the idea. So let's just watch this. Sorry, I'm going to turn off the music because I think it's going to copyright strike me. They're not saying anything. She's taking selfies. He tried to lean in and see what's up. She gave him attitude. Security takes out the SIM card, throws it at her, takes the phone, lets her sit down, takes her purse, takes the cash out of the purse, lets her keep the purse, and he walks out with his boys, with his sunglasses on. Gangster. Like a fucking G. That's how you handle disrespect. Zero tolerance policy, gentlemen. If you see any signs of disrespect from a woman, remember, contempt is the clock that ticks down to the end of a relationship. A woman cannot afford to express contempt for a man that she truly admires. She won't, because she truly admires him. She sees him as her hypergamous best option. She knows that she can't fuck this up. No room at all whatsoever for any kind of disrespect. Understand that. Let's one tab. What else do I have here? We talked about that image. We got the red flags covered. Okay, so another thing that you need to do in the selection process, gentlemen, there is a website called the what is it called? The National Parenting Organization. I've talked about this before. They have a report card that they publish every single year. And by the way, this is a moving target. It does not consistently stay the same. I remember a year or two ago, California was one of the better states. Hang on, this is loading. Let me just refresh this. There we go. I remember a couple of years ago, California was one of the better states, default shared custody 50-50. It's now got a D grade. Okay, these things are all moving targets. Laws change. But here's why it's important. A few years ago, Kentucky changed the legislation and went from letting moms get custody to default 50-50 custody. And the divorce rates dropped 25%. That's fucking huge. Guys often ask me, Rich, how do I minimize the risk of getting wrecked? You live somewhere where default custody is the fucking law. You don't have to fight that, because that's the biggest fight you have to have when you get divorced. You don't have to deal with that fight if you live somewhere where it's default 50-50. And in the state of Kentucky, when they were tracking the data, women were divorcing men 25% less because of default 50-50 custody. That's the significance of default 50-50 custody. In most places in the world, and in most places in the United States, by the way, with the exception of Arizona, which has an A+, basically any A state is where you want to be. Florida, Arizona, Missouri, Arkansas, and Kentucky. You can just go to this map. You can go look it up. In West Virginia. The rest of the country is shit. The entirety of Canada is shit. You have to fight to see your own fucking children. What is the point in having children if you have to fight to see your own lineage, your prodigy, the fucking sons that you have named? It is absolutely absurd and ridiculous in this day and age that this fight still exists. But men routinely, because she returned my text and she touched my pee-pee, will just marry the first fucking girl that's been run through, that they don't vet. They don't look for green flags. They don't look for red flags. They don't move to a state where it's default 50-50 custody. And then they'll call me up 12 years later, pay a very expensive coaching consult with me to figure out how to minimize getting absolutely fucked over, when it's like not a question of like, how do I not get screwed rich? It's like, how do I minimize not getting screwed so fucking badly that I never see my kids again, sort of conversation. And you can solve most of that, gentlemen, with the selection process. Select where to live. Select the right woman that doesn't have a ton of red flags. Select the right woman that has green flags. Move to a state that won't fuck you over as a man. It's very simple. I don't know why this is confusing for people. Oh, but it's too much work. My parents live in the blah, 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 and my job is here, and all of my friends are in this area, or she won't move because her friends live over there and they went to high school together. Fuck that noise. Then find another chick. Again, the question, the origin of this was, Rich, what's the best way to have multiple kids and not get wrecked? I am giving you the secret sauce. It's work. Everything that I give you guys is dressed in overalls and on the other side of that, and it's called work. And if you want to get the results that you're looking for, it's why I keep saying, and everybody fucking rips off my words all the time, and it's like, I own it. Do the fucking work. Everything you're looking for is on the other side of everything that I've given you here, gentlemen. What time we got? 8:06. Let's talk about scattering seed versus being an involved father. Okay? Because at this point, I've had many a conversation, and I've seen many firsthand, even men that are married, under the religion, living under the government's rule of law with family law. They have 1 or 2 or 3 kids with one woman. And I've seen guys that have 6 wives or girlfriends and kids with a bunch of them, and they all live together. And I've seen guys that have children with multiple women and they don't live with them and they look after them. So I think the question of, how do you raise, because like one of the things that came up is, what about raising like unplugged kids that you can be proud of? Because I'll be honest with you, a lot of the fucking kids that I see today, they're absolute losers. They're just pathetic, absolute losers. It's not often that I'll see well-rounded, polite, orderly children. Most of them suck. And I'll give you a really good example. And I talked about it in the podcast that I released on Sunday with Jewel in his van, because a few days in, when I was in Dubai, he had this event scheduled. He rented a super yacht. It was his daughter's birthday, and I think Leo's birthday, the guy that's his business partner with the tailor shop. So there's a lot of really cool people on the boat, good social network sort of thing. And I get there a little bit early because I had to find the boat, sort of thing. It's like there's all these fucking super yachts. Like, you got to find whatever the hell it's called in the back of the boat. Anyway, so I find the boat, and I'm on it, and he gets there and he's like, "Is this boat?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's a boat." And his kids are with him, and they kind of run onto the boat, and they're running around like kids do, right? They want to investigate. They want to check out the cabin. They want to check out the front of the boat, the upper deck. And his son and his daughter comes up to the top of the boat, and they don't run by me. They don't ignore me. They don't, cower in the shadows. Immediately, his son comes up, introduces himself. "This is my name," looks me in the eye, shakes my hand, has a firm handshake. He's probably 12 or 13, has a firm handshake. And his sister afterwards, she introduces herself in a very feminine way, but still cordial. You don't see that very often. You really don't. It's not often that I'll meet a friend's kids, and it's like, wow, that 12-year-old boy has a firm handshake, and he's polite, and he looks me in the eye, and he's respectful. They're mostly dickheads. Like, most kids today are absolute dickheads. They just are. And it's rare that you see that. So, I mean, like, the question is, do you scatter seed and have a whole bunch of kids and roll the dice? Or do you become an involved parent and just have a few kids, but fully invest in them? I'm in the latter camp. That's how I've been raising my daughter. And she's a great kid, and she's going to do well. But that's the way that, I get it's a numbers game. Like, how do you have as many kids as possible? I get it. Okay. It'd be cool to have an army of very successful, interesting children. I'm sure Donald Trump is proud of his family, right? He's got Donald Jr., Eric, the daughter, the other daughter with the other marriage, and I think he's got another daughter, and then there's Barron. So he's got a ton of kids. None of them are dickheads. They're all orderly. They're all very well presented. They're clean. They're in good shape. They're not fat. They dress well. They know their place in, the pecking order. That's what you want, right? And it's rare that you see that nowadays. It's rare that you see leaders that, lead with that example nowadays. It's rare that you see men that demonstrate that nowadays. Most of the time, it's women leading the relationships and guys sort of like filling the gap, if you know what I mean. So my opinion in this area is be an involved father. I did a video the other day about Pavel Durov, the CEO of Telegram. He has a strategy, which is have hundreds of kids with lots of women and repopulate the earth and scatter his seed. The problem with that is women suck at raising children by themselves. If you're not an involved parent that sets boundaries, that leads the family, sets a strong example, and she toes the line with that, all you're doing is you're just creating a whole bunch of single moms, and they suck at that. We've seen the data. The vast majority of the incarcerated, single mother households. Vast majority of teenage pregnancies, single mother households. Vast majority of gang activity, single mother households. Vast majority of suicide and suicide attempts, single mother households. Vast majority of runaway, single mother house. You want me to keep going? The vast majority of the degenerate shit that you see going on in the world today comes from single mother households with absent fathers, or perhaps a father in the house that was a piece of furniture, if we can put it that way. So it's my opinion that being an involved father, and that's really important, I think, after the age of about, I'm going to say 3, 4, 5 or so. I can't really put an exact number in the sand, but let's say 4 or 5 years old. And the reason for that is when they're little, they don't talk much. They don't understand concepts. 3-year-olds still throw themselves on the ground and have a hissy fit if they don't get their way sometimes. You're not needed that much for that era, right? Like mom can do most of that shit. Like the baby's the baby's a year and a half crying in the middle of the night. Let her deal with it, right? Like that, like you got shit to do, you got money to make. That's not dad stuff, right? Dad stuff is setting the boundaries, disciplining the kids, setting strong examples, leading the boys, turning them into men. You know, I was talking to this guy recently, and he was telling me about this gal that he used to date, single mom, and her son was just a fat dipshit. Basically, the way that he described it was just rotten kids, right? And he was telling me that she would do nothing to discipline or enforce boundaries. He didn't have a say in any of it because he's not the kid's father, so he's not allowed to say shit. But he's still expected to pay for shit around the house. This is one of the reasons why he broke up with her. But she would routinely just like, he would be in his room playing video games all day, and she would just like make food and bring it upstairs, like not even real like healthy food, like proper food. She would make like a microwave dinner or some shit and bring it upstairs and knock on his door and leave it on the floor in front of the door in like a tray, like he's in jail or some shit. And the kid would go and get his microwave dinner and eat it while he's playing his video games. You get a lot of this kind of stuff. I'm not saying all single moms are like that, but a lot of the time this kind of shit goes down because dads either aren't in the house, or if they are in the house, they're a piece of furniture and they suck. So, you know, the idea that you just go and bang a whole bunch of women and knock them up, or scatter your seeds, or do fertility clinics and scatter your seed that way, you're just adding to the problem. Yes, you're reproducing, you're creating more of yourself, you're creating some it's not even a carbon copy, it's like a 50% copy of yourself. But I mean, how many kids does Pavel Durov have out there with single moms? And it's his DNA, it's his kid, it's his money, he's probably paying for it. And then the single mom probably names the kid, because she's alpha widowed by Chad Thundercock from 10 years ago, because she's 38. She names the kid Chad after her ex-boyfriend, while Pavel pays for the shit and she raises him and fucks up the kid. You see what I'm saying here, right? Like, I think if you're going to have kids, be an involved father. And you want a woman that, again, doesn't have the red flags, has a lot of the green flags. You vetted her for a couple of years. That's another important thing too. Spend a couple of years with her, see what she's made of. How does she deal with no? How does she deal with leading the relationship, adopting pink jobs while you have blue jobs? What does she do when you get sick? Does she adopt your political views and opinions? You know, does she adopt your dietary views and restrictions? Does she adopt your lifestyle choices? You know, sort of thing, right? Men are cups and women are water. Women form to the cup. Okay. The worst thing you can do is form to her life, you know, move into her house, raise her fucking kids or some shit like that. You don't want to do that. Okay. So to the idea of scatter seeds or be involved. You're probably better off with quality children rather than a quantity of children. I think all day long, I would choose quality children that you can be proud of, that you name, that you're assured of their DNA. That's the other thing too, is paternity fraud. Make sure you get a paternity test. Last thing you want to do is go through all this bullshit and end up, you know, she ends up cucking you because she fucked some other guy one night and now she's knocked up with his kid and she plays it off like it's your kid. So scatter seed versus involved. The other thing that I jotted down here is, can women be moms and lovers simultaneously? I've had to think about that one. I think the answer is no. So if you have the expectation that this woman is going to be everything to you, she's going to have your children, she's going to be a great mom, she's going to be a wife, she's going to be a lover, she's going to be all the things that you want, I don't think it's possible. I really don't. I think you're asking too much of her. I think you're asking way too much of her, and she's probably going to be asking way too much of you. That's like one of the things I've seen Dr. Orion Taraban talk about too in the past, is like one of the problems we run into today, and you see other therapists talk about this as well, is that people have the expectation, I think Esther Perel's mentioned this several times too, people have the expectation that person is all these things. And without giving away the details who I was talking to, I had this conversation with somebody recently, and he was of the opinion, he was the guy that got me thinking about it. I don't think that, because he didn't want to have kids with his new women. He had kids with his ex-wife, but he didn't want to have kids with the new women. And his thinking was, I don't think women can do mom and lover at the same time. And I think you see that play out today in the sexual marketplace with married couples, where men are constantly sexless, asking for more, and women don't want to give it to them for a variety of reasons. It's just a very difficult thing to ask somebody to do all of it. It just is. It just is. And I think I'm of the opinion that you're going to have a very, very hard time finding a woman that's going to be a lover, affectionate, look after you, and be a great mom. I've had conversations with guys that would come home from work, long day, putting out fires, putting a dent in the universe. She's been home with the baby, just one kid. She's been home with the baby, and he walks into the house. Hey, babe, what's for dinner? And she starts yelling at him. Fucking this shit. Goes in the freezer, takes out some frozen shit and throws it at him, says, there's your dinner. Go cook it up. The fuck is that? Women don't do that in the dating phase. But all of a sudden, when they've got a baby and they've got like the mommy groups and the mommy bloggers, and they start following all the TikToks and the Instagram and all that other shit. That's the other thing too, guys. Just stay away from women that are all over social media, because it pollutes their minds and their brains. It really does. Multiple women versus one woman. Let's talk about that. Man, I'm covering so much in this video. Let's talk about multiple women, having kids with multiple women versus one woman. This can be a good strategy, and I'll tell you why. For the guys that want to have a lot of kids and minimize the risk, this can be a very good strategy. But you have to be careful with how you do it. So I'll give you an example. I mean, Casey Jones, I talked to him several times on my channel. He's now sitting in jail. He's an Australian bloke, former military guy, had 6 wives, and led a public life. And he kind of rubbed his life in the face of the world and the government and the law enforcement. And they got pissed off. And they just found a way to get him. And if they want to get you, they'll find a way to get you. They found a way to get him on something. I can't remember what it was. He got Me Too'd over some bullshit from some ex that he was with a long time ago. And he's now locked up as far as I can tell. And he's got these 6 wives. I don't know if they're living together. I don't know what's gone on with the kids, how many kids he had with them. But these things can get fucked up pretty badly, pretty quickly. You also get the notion of guys out there that have a bunch of kids with a bunch of different women, and they do the right thing. They do the orderly thing. They take care of the house. They lease a car for them. They pay all the bills. They go and visit them once or twice a week, and they kind of rotate through the different families that they have. But you're kind of when you do it in that sort of realm, you're kind of creating a bunch of single moms, right? Who are raising kids independently, on their own, with the ways that they think they should do it. And you're kind of rotating. You give some time to each one of your little families whenever you can do it, as you're traveling the world, doing your thing. So I think that if you're going to if you want to have a whole bunch of kids, you're going to need a whole bunch of women to do that. I mean, I talk about all the historical records in the Top Shelf Man about stuff like that, by the way. So I'm going to go off the top of my head, because I wrote that segment a couple of years ago, but off the top of my head, there was there's a sultan who went down in the Guinness Book of World Records, I think in the 1700s, 1800s, 4 wives, several mistresses, and then a whole bunch of concubines. And they were guarded by eunuchs. So he basically sterilized a bunch of men, just lobbed off their shit, the Johnson, had them guard his women because he didn't want them doing anything with the women, sleeping with them or anything. And he had a constant rotation with the women as they were ovulating to have kids with them. He had something like 1,200 kids. On record, in the Guinness Book of World Record, the one woman that's had the most kids was something like, I don't know, it was like 50 or 60 or something like that. And it was just like a sequence of quadruplets and triplets and sextuplets and twins and shit like that. Like she's banging out kids like her entire life. And she had like, this is like the record, something like in the 50s or low 60s. I can't remember. But one guy can fertilize hundreds of women and have thousands of children. Again, but I mean, the problem with that though is that once you start scattering your seed, your time is not like allocated to them. So it's like quantity, but probably not quality sort of thing. It's a difficult sort of thing, to do. The Mormons try to do it. They live with a bunch of women and they have a bunch of kids with them. Sometimes it works out. Most of the time it ends up in some fucking Netflix series with a big blow up bullshit story about how it all falls apart. So you got to decide for yourself how it is that, that you're going to work it out. I will say this. I mean, if you want to have a bunch of kids with a bunch of women, you're going to have some fucking bank. Like you're going to have good game, influence, a lot of bank. You're going to have to pay for everything. They're going to have to follow your lead. The argument that I've heard from guys that do shit like this is like, well, you kind of spread your seed out in a bunch of different baskets. And if one of them goes like psycho, you just cut them off. And you've still got a bunch of kids with all these other women. So you certainly lower the risk, right? Like you're not dealing with, oh, well, I got to go to a map over here and I got to move to this state over here that I don't genuinely like or want anything to do with, to have one family with one chick who can ruin you. And there's no guarantee that she won't ruin you guys, because you could vet for all the red flags and look for the green flags and, spend 2 years with her, have a bunch of kids, live in a way that looks like marriage in a state that's, one of these blue states, Florida, West Virginia, Arizona, Arkansas, Missouri. You could be in one of those spots. And then like one day she just decides to go AWOL on you, right? She goes, watches Eat, Pray, Love with her girlfriend and says, she gets convinced that she's been taken advantage of and that she can leave and take half of his shit. At least you minimize the risk a little bit by living in a state where it's default 50-50 custody. So you don't fight over the kids and the assets are just split down the middle at that point. Let's talk about prenups before we start to sort of wrap this up. There are lots of lawyers out there that will tell you that prenups work. Just get a prenup. But prenups aren't enforceable in court. Well, mine are. Mine have always been enforceable. Get a postnup after the prenup. I've heard stories. I saw a clip of a divorce lawyer. I think it was James Sexton. He was telling a story about a client who was 30, worth like $40 million, and they were doing the prenup. And he told his lawyer to draft it up and say that if she left within, I don't know, like a short period of time, 2 to 5 years or something like that, if the marriage dissolved after 2 to 5 years, she would get $5 million. And he was like, the lawyer said, what? Like, give her $5 million for what? Right? And he goes, well, my reasoning is if she takes that clause and she takes the money, then it costs me $5 million basically to pay her off, and I'm a fucking G and I'll move on, sort of thing. But if she doesn't take the money, then she really loves me, sort of thing. And it's like, I don't have time for that shit. People like playing these games with prenups and postnups and get the right lawyer and send it back and draft it that way, and it's got to be done within a certain amount of time. And my prenups hold up in court, and other people will tell you, well, they're not worth anything. You know, they're like toilet paper. They'll just wipe their ass with it. Here's what I do know from speaking to a very smart, well-sorted family lawyer. Okay, very good friend of mine. The number one cause of divorce, get ready for it, is marriage. You know, you can have kids and not get married, guys. Lots of people do it. Tate Brothers do it. Jay Waller does it. Lots of people do it. Sterling's doing it. Lots of people do it. You can have kids and not get married, not live in a way that looks like marriage to the government. Well, you know, it's got to be marriage because God orders it, or my family or her family. Who's the man? Who's the man in the relationship? Is it you? Is it her? Is it her dad? Is it her mom? Is it her sister that's telling her what to do? Who's the fucking man? That's my take on it. Or you can run through all the fucking hoops and hire lawyers and fill out paperwork and live together. And then you combine the three itties: proximity, familiarity, exclusivity. That all goes out the window. You're kind of fucked with that, right? Just don't live in a way that looks like marriage. Have children. Look after things. Be a dad. You can do all that stuff without inviting the government in your life, without signing agreements. Prenups and postnups. And because I've seen lots of guys that had prenups. She was a stay-at-home mom, popped out 2-3 kids. 12 years down the road, kids are in school a lot. She's got more spare time. She's going to yoga or Pilates. The instructor's some hot dude. She starts porking him. Boom. Divorce. She goes to the courts and her lawyer and goes, well, Your Honor, I haven't worked in 12 years because I've been a stay-at-home mom. So I need his money because I'm not strong and independent anymore. She's strong and independent in the marriage. Don't tell me what to do. But when it comes to the divorce, she's not strong and independent anymore. She needs her money. Right? So she'll tell the story that needs to be told that leverages family law. But she signed a prenup. Well, she did 12 years ago. But for 12 years, she hasn't worked. Her, I don't know, degree in blah, blah, blah is no longer valid, would be the argument. I've seen this happen many a times. Don't get mad at me. Guys get mad at me. Chicks get mad at me. Let me tell you something. If women really gave a fuck, like if women truly gave a fuck about equal rights and fathers, they would all get together in the tens of thousands and go to Capitol Hill and protest to the government and say, our men won't marry us because these laws are unfair. But they don't, because the laws serve them and they don't fucking care about you guys. You got to look, again, the question is, what's the best way to have multiple kids and not get wrecked? If you want assurance of not getting wrecked, then don't live in a way that could wreck you. Don't live in a country, in a province, or a state that hates men, that allows women to use the corrupt family court system to leverage it against you and fuck you over. That's the question. What's the best way to have multiple kids and not get wrecked? After you go through the selection process, the red flags, the green flags, the 2-year vetting period, see what she's made of. You know, you figure out the structure that you want. You've read my first book. You've read my second book. First book is The Unplugged Alpha. The second book is Top Shelf Men. The subtitle of the second book, How the Top 5% of Men Build Wealth, Live Life on Their Terms, and Keep High-Value Women. It's not a mistake that that's the subtitle. If you read the book and you follow what's in it, you will not get wrecked. But like I said earlier, everything that you're looking for, gentlemen, is dressed in overalls and on the other side of something called work that you need to do. boundaries that you need to set. You're not in a position to do much of this shit that I'm talking about, the high level stuff, if you're making $50,000 a year at a job. Job stands for just over broke. You're going to have no bargaining position whatsoever. You're just going to become one of the statistics out there. Either the guy that's in a sexless marriage, or the guy that gets divorced, the guy that's with the chick that starts porking the fucking pool boy, or the guy that starts fucking his secretary and she gets pissed off. You're just going to end up in one of those statistics. But if you want to know how not to get wrecked, read this book. Watch this podcast over and over again. And I know it's difficult. It's hard to understand. It's complicated. It's work. It's not normal, Rich. That's not what God says, Rich. That's not what my family says, Rich. My girl's sister hates this idea, Rich. You know what my theory on all of that is? I don't give a fuck. Top shelf men don't give a fuck. Why do you care? Your call-in link, if you guys would like to discuss anything, is pinned at the top of YouTube. I'm going to grab it and drop it in all chat. This is your chance. If you disagree with me, if you hate me, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me, I hope you have a better solution. If you have a question, if something doesn't make any sense, guys, if you go in the comments afterwards and like, well, I have a question about this, that, and the other thing, I'm not going to write out a fucking essay to explain it all to you. This is the time where you get your questions answered. I always leave time at the end of the show, open Q&A. I'm going to run the ad reel. I'll be back in a couple minutes. I'm just going to take a break. This episode is sponsored by yours truly. Gentlemen, if you're new here, your starting point is to get on my email list and join 50,000 other readers. Just scroll down and opt in over here with your information. And that's where you can download the free chapters on the 21 red flags to avoid and the 16 green flags to seek in long-term relationships. Just navigate to entrepreneursandcars.com/red-flags and get started there. Beyond that, there's book 1, The Unplugged Alpha, which has sold over 250,000 copies and summarizes the way the world and women truly work. And then there's book 2, recently released, The Top Shelf Man, which takes you far deeper down the rabbit hole and is about how the top 5% of men get everything they want out of life and women. Both books are very highly rated. I guarantee that you'll love them both. You can find them on Amazon. Now, brothers, if you like me and you take what you put in your body very seriously, you're going to want to use the Unplugged Alpha supplement line. It's the obsession with engineering higher absorption rates that sets my line apart from the others. You want to make sure that you absorb as much of the supplements as possible so you don't end up peeing out expensive urine and wasting your money. My supplement line is made in the United States from the highest quality ingredients, and unlike your typical cheap supplements in plastic bottles that originated from China, only quality supplements ship in dark glass bottles to keep your supplements fresher, longer, and don't seep endocrine-disrupting microplastics into your supplements that end up in your body. You can filter all products by your goals, including testosterone support, estrogen metabolism, fat burning, sleep support, and performance. Just visit theunpluggedalpha.com/shop and use the subscribe and save option to get 10% off your recurring supplement orders. Or check out my brand new testosterone bundle and save as much as 18% when you stack them all together. And lastly, if you've enjoyed my books and video content, you're going to absolutely love the School of Unplugging, which is my private community for men. Inside, you'll find over 50 hours of never before seen videos in a private classroom setting that'll teach you how to level up and apply the 7 spokes of a high value man to your life so that you can get the results that you're looking for. You can just copy and paste all the simple formulas to success on wealth creation, improving your looks, status, captivation, game, frame, and so much more with other men on their own unplugging journey. There's also a well-organized discussion board, meetups in real life, weekly Zoom calls that are recorded, held by me and my team of experts, all for a monthly membership that costs less than a cup of coffee, and there is brand new content being added every single month. The calendar tab makes spotting exactly what it is that you're looking for very simple, and all you do is you add it to your own calendar. See the description below for a link to everything I just mentioned above, or visit richcooper.ca, and on the courses tab, you can navigate to the School of Unplugging. Guys, make sure you check out the rest of my personal website and everything else, or to request a private one-on-one consultation with me. Now let's get on with the show. I was just scrolling through the chat as that was running and having a sip of my drink. And there's a couple things here that I wanted to touch on. Yes, you're a good father. Make sure they understand and follow that. There's a chapter in my book. You can actually get that in my article tab on my Twitter, the single mom one. So you can show them that. You don't even need to buy the book. But giving them the book is the best thing. Somebody was saying, I teach my sons. Okay. Florida just put a time limit on alimony. Yeah. You're starting to see some of the states in the United States improve in that aspect or regard. And some people say, well, just go to other parts of the world. Other parts of the world are better. Other women are better. If you're not a top shelf man, if you're not in the top 5%, if you haven't done the work, if you're not leveled up on the 7 spokes of a high value man, there are places in the Middle East and the East and Slavic countries in Asia where the laws don't hate fathers. But smart women that hate the man that they're with, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. I'm sure you guys have heard this before. They will find ways to leverage the laws and fuck you. I've seen it happen. Dubai is in a Muslim country, and I personally know somebody who invited a Ukrainian woman into his life. Actually, I don't even mind telling you because he's made some public videos about it. It's Raphael from Wealthy Expat. Put her on the business, and when they got divorced, she made up a whole bunch of shit that almost got him locked up in fucking jail. And he was running for his life. He talked about it very publicly. You just can't be guaranteed. Like you have to be very intentional about it if you're going to live in a way that looks like marriage. To this point over here, Mike said Elon has 14 children. What a mess. It is a mess. Like one of his kids is trans. He's got issues with a few of the other kids. He's got that issue with Ashley Sinclair. She's been threatening to transition his son that he's had with her, and she was like a typical conservative, influencer for a while. Everybody was like, oh, Ashley Sinclair, she's so good. Elon was like, yeah, I'm going to put a baby in that. And look how she's behaving now, like a total asshole, like a total dickhead. Okay. I just watched a video on Singer, the sewing machine maker. He had 24 children with 5 women. There you go. But was he an involved father? Did these 5 women allow him to be involved in their upbringing, have a say in how things were going to be? Right? Or did he just have 5 single moms? It's my opinion that it's not worth it. Like if you're going to scatter seed and have a whole bunch of dickhead kids that you aren't proud of, or that she keeps you from, or that she steals your wealth and leverages it to do whatever she wants and alienates you from all these kids, it's not worth it. It really isn't. Yeah, Elon Musk and Pavel Durov are having a whole bunch of kids, but they're mostly making a bunch of dickhead single moms. Like you're seeing what's happening with Ashley Sinclair right now. Yeah, I mean, like Durov can pay for private schools and all that sort of stuff. And he can make sure the moms don't live in poverty. But again, I mean, You're going to scatter your seed to have 100 kids with 100 different women or 200 kids with 100 different women. What are the chances that they're all good women that follow the rule of law, that raise good kids? Because single mother households are beta male factories. The vast majority of them, without a father in the household, they're raising husband sons, right? What they basically do is like they turn them into nice guys. You see these like stories all the time on social media. I saw one a couple weeks ago. Kid with a, single mom. She needed a new car because the car was an absolute piece of shit. Okay. So what does he do? He starts shoveling driveways. He sells his Xbox to raise some money so that she can buy a better piece of shit. And there's an article about how all proud, the family is that this fat dipshit, and he looked like a total like dickhead. He's not the kind of kid that would look you in the eye and give you a firm handshake, because nobody ever taught this poor kid how to give a firm handshake and look a man in the eye and be respectful. He's just some tool that sells his Xbox and shovels driveways so his mom can buy a better piece of shit while she probably works at a strip joint, right? Gin and tonics. Disagree with you on this, Rich. My wife, mother of 2 kids, absolutely fabulous as a lover, but I will say that I think she's rare. She is absolutely rare. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, guys. I know one person in my entire social circle, and I know fucking hundreds of people, really good guys. I know one guy that has ever voluntarily voiced, I just had the best sex of my life with my wife of 25 years. I'm just telling you, like, 1 in several hundred is a very, very low ratio. Does it happen? Clearly it's happened for gin and tonics. It's happened for my buddy, but it's very rare. It's the exception. It is not the norm. Again, like a lot of the data, like the Aaron and Acevedo data on long-term happiness in relationships, the average time frame was 8.5 years. So after 8.5 years, less than 12.5% of people are still expressing a state of love for one another. Less than 3% express bliss for one another. That's the whole point of marriage. Like, you're supposed to get married. Oh, this is blissful. This is the best thing ever. We just love each other. It's so perfect. We just admire each other. It's just amazing. He's competent. She cooks. The kids are orderly. They're not dickheads. Very, very rare. The vast majority of people live in shitty marriages that fucking hate each other. They hate each other. They hate their in-laws. They hate the kids. They're miserable. And again, I've studied this over and over and over. I've read all the studies. I've been doing this for 10 fucking years. I've talked to thousands of people. This is the formula. This is what you follow, but it requires that you level up and you get on the top shelf and you understand sexual marketplace, women, boundaries, parenting. The one thing I forgot to talk about was raising unplugged kids. Let's do that before I go. Guys, I know that was a powerful presentation. I know sometimes it's overwhelming and, the call-in segments like, okay, I don't want to get yelled at by Rich. Let's talk about raising unplugged kids. Boys and girls are very different. Every message your son will get is essentially trying to pussify him. It's trying to turn him into a soft, agreeable, gullible beta male. Okay, that's why you see the vast majority of men out there never get what they want in their job, in wealth creation, in their career, with women, with friendships. The vast majority of men are not getting what they want because all the inputs, Hollywood, music, social media, the shit they read, the shit they hear from fucking women, all of their stupid friends telling them dumb stuff. The vast majority of the inputs that boys get are trying to turn them into soft, agreeable, gullible beta males. Stand on your dot, wear your face mask and get your fucking injections. and the vast majority of the guys did it. Okay. I heard a story about a guy that went to go get the jab because his wife said that she wasn't going to blow him ever again if he didn't go and get the jab. Fuck that noise. That's what society does to boys, to men, as they turn into men. So raising unplugged males is different from females. Girls are a different game completely, because everything out there is trying to turn your daughters, the females, into whores. Expose your skin, sleep with as many guys as you want, be as promiscuous with impunity, go and fuck that guy, YOLO, all that kind of shit. And it's all reinforced. And it's simply not true. Because if women's notch count didn't matter, then they wouldn't fucking lie about it now, would they? Think about it. So it's a totally different set of rules that you set for your sons and your daughters. Your daughters, you got to be a little softer with. Your sons, you got to be firm. You got to teach a boy how to be a man. You got to teach a girl how to be a woman. You have to teach a girl how to hunt for a guy. You have to teach a boy how to fish for women. It's a different game. The male strategy should be fishing, cast a wide net, right? Pull in what you can, spin your plates, let the cream rise to the top, let her ask you for commitment, blah, blah, blah. I've talked about this many times. You need to teach daughters to preserve their value. Sons need to make value. Boys are not inherently valuable. A 12-year-old boy is fucking useless. But a 12-year-old girl will get married off in fucking Afghanistan, right? Girls have inherent value because of their beauty, because of their purity, because of their ability to bring you children, right? Story I heard about Genghis Khan. When they would go and, pillage and plunder and kind of stuff, and he would gather the women that he liked, he would send them back to safety. And they would ride back with his, senior lieutenants, his soldiers. And he would tell them, he would say to them, if you fucking touch any of these women, I will kill you. I will kill your family. I will kill your fucking parents. I will kill your siblings. I will kill your chickens and your goats. I will wipe your name off the fucking planet Earth. You will never be known again. That was how valuable females were. They should still be that way today, but now they're told to be whores. So this is what you get. The conversation with boys, make something out of yourself. Learn languages, learn how to make money, learn combat skills, learn competency skills. When I was a kid in school, they used to teach boys shop class. My parents still have a cutting board that I made in grade 8. It's still fucking together. Craftsmanship from grade 8. Guy like me. It's still around. Mortar and pestle, those fucking things where you grind garlic up and shit like that. They still have it from grade 8. They used to teach boys craftsmanship. I used to love working my hands doing shit, but I realized that it just doesn't pay enough, right? I used to love working on cars and stuff like that. I learned all the skills, right? Girls are different. They don't teach girls like home economics anymore. Learn how to make some food, sew on a button, basic shit like that. No. They just blur the line. Society and culture just blur. If you let them, it'll blur the line. The question was, how do you raise unplugged kids? You treat boys differently from girls. You raise your sons differently from girls. You raise your sons to be fucking warriors, to be men, to be competent warriors that can bring battle and make it rain and do fucking dope shit and be influential. Girls, totally different. Got to be soft with them. Got to show them what a real man looks like. You got to show them how to hunt for a man, how to target a man. I've talked about how smart women target men. I have a video coming out on my Entrepreneurs in Cars channel talking about the hunting strategy that Brian Johnson's girlfriend used on him, and some other examples. So that'll be coming out soon in a second. So there's that. You get the idea though, right? different strategies, man. You want to raise unplugged, and you got to tell them the truth. And you got to turn off the bullshit, man. You know, you sit back and you turn on Netflix and it's a show about, I don't know, medieval times in England. And the title is about this prince. And you start to watch the show on Netflix, and 12 minutes in, it's a gay black kid in a wheelchair who's supposed to be the Prince of England. Turn that shit off and tell your kid why you're turning it off. That's not historically accurate, right? You have to explain the world to your kids. You're going to have to explain the world to your kids if you want to raise unplugged kids, right? Like the whole notion of just scattering seed and hoping that it works out, it's not going to work out. They're going to be useless. You're going to have to invest the time in explaining the world to them and crafting them and molding them, turning your sons into proper men and turning your daughters into respectable women that you can introduce to proper men from, you know, the world. You don't let them run around. Anyway, let's take Theodore over here. Looks like he's waiting to get in. Let's see what you got. Theodore, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
So I'm just I meant to log in last week when I was kind of at the gym, but I just logged in here because I had the time. So what's the topic tonight?
You didn't watch the entire show, you just clicked?
No, I just clicked, yeah.
Raising unplugged kids, and the original question was, what's the best way to have multiple kids and not get wrecked? Did you have a question or a share, or what's the...
Yeah, I don't think multiple kids is a good idea. Unless you can afford it. But I mean, even then, I think you should raise your kids. Yeah, so I'm on the same page with you. I've heard you talk about this before. I don't advocate the Elon Musk, Andrew Tate strategy of just like scatter your seed and then never have anything to do with your kids. So
yeah, I didn't say this earlier.
That's not my style. But I mean, I can't afford that either. So
hear me out. I saw this video on social media a couple of weeks ago. Tristan was sitting down at a dinner table with one of his kids' mom, and the child was there watching the iPad. And on the iPad, there was a story, and he was kind of replaying it. And the argument that he was making was, why is my child watching this show, which portrayed, I don't know, an animated character with two moms? You know, like the narrative that you can have two moms or two dads or something like that. Why is my child watching this? And, you know, this was his argument. And I'm watching it thinking to myself, why is your child watching an iPad at the dinner table? Right? And it's like, this is what happens when you let moms run the kids. You see it all the time when you go to restaurants, right? Mom's sitting there, kids there with the phone, the iPad, the earbuds. They're staring at that shit.
I mean, I think we did kind of reduce the cell phone usage or the iPad usage.
This is the first generation being raised on screens, man.
But you know, I think I'm probably more guilty of that than my daughter is. So I feel like I can't judge too much. I think she's more inclined to just read, which is not terrible. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think I don't know. I just think it's kind of low rent. I think we kind of have a low rent society right now. We're just going lower and lower rent. So when I was a kid, it was a big stigma to be a single mom.
Yeah.
Or to have children out of wedlock.
Yeah. Either
one of those things was a terrible thing, and women were looked down upon for that. And that's just not the case anymore. It's like you're just like a hero if you're a single mom.
Thank you. We need to make shaming great again. Shame fat people, shame broke people, shame single moms. Shaming controls society. It's almost a form of bullying. You know what I mean? Like bullying is a thing that they've tried to rob us from the school system.
Yeah, it's not there, and that's kind of my beef with like organized religion now, is that there's like no shaming of single momhood or divorce, or so, you know, if I wanted to get back into religion, I think I would want at least a religion that stood firm on those kind of issues, but I don't know that there are any. But even beyond that, I think the point that you were making about like the scattering your seed and having lots of kids, that was also seen as a very low rent activity, that was stigmatized when I was a youth. So the idea that
is what they call
Andrew
it, right?
Tate can go out there and Elon Musk can go out there and be praised for having lots of baby mamas, which maybe he's not at the societal level, but maybe he is at the red pill level. I don't agree with it. I think that's kind of a low rent activity that we would say is kind of associated with communities we didn't want to emulate. And so I feel like that, just the way I feel like with the single moms, that I believe in the nuclear family. I just don't believe that we support the nuclear family anymore. And the nuclear family is almost impossible and it's disintegrating at the moment. So that's the issue. But I don't know how to change it except to, encourage, your daughters to marry early. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of work, but it all starts with men. Everything starts with men. It starts with men setting boundaries. It starts with men shaming women. It starts with men leading. It starts with men being creative. Being able to make it rain.
Yeah, at a collectivist level, yeah, but at a
men can really
level,
solve a lot of this, and it's not me that's going to do it myself. It's got to be everybody that like adopts this shit and like takes a real strong position on it. But I don't see it happening, unfortunately. So there's a small contingent of guys out there, like less than 5% of men out there that are really the change makers.
I think women reward men that set boundaries, but they also, the men that set boundaries are also the same ones that are having the harems, and so that's not good for society.
The end state of hypergamy, man, because hypergamy dictates that women want the best men, and that forcefully means that women have to share the best men. The end state of hypergamy is polygyny.
Yeah,
that's why you get guys that,
which is something I don't think is socially desirable, but I think that's what we have today. And I think a lot of people in the political sphere, a lot of, before my divorce or my separation, I would have never believed this was true, but I believe it's true now.
It's crazy how your opinion changes as you evolve and get older, which is a good sign. I mean, that's a sign of growth, right?
I don't know. I would rather just be in the matrix and not know, but that's not a choice I have,
All right, I'll send you some blue pills.
Yeah. I personally, I feel like the nuclear family and the morality and the belief that your wife is faithful and all that stuff, I think it's great. Obviously, the behavior that many wives have towards their husbands is not great. But yeah, I think that it's better to warn people about the dangers about female nature and female opportunities. The opportunity sets have changed dramatically in the social media era. I mean, I think nuclear families were more possible before. I don't know if they were. I don't think my beliefs were correct before, but at least it was more sustainable. Now it's just the power dynamic has shifted so much that it's so easy for women to cheat. They can do it so discreetly versus a guy has to, basically advertise, right? So the fishing analogy, women select from a menu, men are fishermen, and they're fishing at a poisoned pond, essentially. So a pond full of nuclear waste with three-eyed fish, and hoping to get one. And women are selecting from a menu of the choices selects. And that's just a tremendously bad power dynamic to be in a relationship with.
It sucks, man. It's very difficult. Thanks for chiming in, brother. Appreciate it.
Okay.
So I'm going to wrap up on that note, guys. There's a lot to digest in here. You guys will ask this question over and over again. It's never going to go away. I could go to my community. I could go to my comment section and read the same thing in 10 years. It'll be the same question under more difficult circumstances. Again, everything that I'm telling you here, guys, the key to you getting everything that you want in life and from women boils down to be as attractive as you can possibly be and be as valuable as you can possibly be. When you achieve that, when you arrive at the top shelf or in close proximity to it, you're in a position. Again, the original question was, what's the best way to have multiple kids and not get wrecked? You're in a position to navigate the matrix in such a way where you don't get wrecked. The average guy can't do much of the stuff that I talked about on this show. The average guy working in a warehouse making $45,000 a year you're fucked. I'm just being honest with you. You're rolling the dice. It's like, okay, she's touching my pee-pee, so I'm going to marry her, and we're just going to hope for the best, and maybe it works out. Or maybe you end up in that stat where it's like, 97% of people don't even fucking like each other, right? You're not the 3% that are in bliss, sort of thing. But again, everything boils down to do the work, be as attractive as you can be as valuable as you can be. The value component comes from the 7 spokes of a high-value man. I wrote about it in the 2nd edition of the Unplugged Alpha. You can get the book on Amazon. If you've read my books, if you've watched my videos, and you're looking for more, the next logical step is to join my School of Unplugging. That QR code on the top left of the screen, scan it. It'll take you to the page. I have 3 communities. The School of Unplugging is for the budget-minded, the budget-focused. It's $77 a month, $597 a year. When you do the annual option, you save like 50% practically. Put some skin in the game. Take your life seriously. It's like the cost of a coffee a day, right? Get in. Do the work. Network with the other guys. I've got hours and hours of video content in the classroom section that is nowhere else on the internet. I do weekly Zooms multiple times. You have questions about things, this is where you go to level up. The other community is the School of Entrepreneurship. If you have a business doing under $1 million a year and it's not a great business and you're looking to pivot it, or if you want the blueprint to run the best business you can possibly run that's profitable, easy, lucrative, and fun, you get the School of Entrepreneurship. That's the middle community. The top shelf is the 1%. You have to apply to get in. You book a call with me. You pay $100 to book the call with me. I don't do them for free anymore because people waste my time. Put some skin in the game. And if I accept you, then that'll be offset from the cost of admission. But for most of you guys asking a lot of these questions, I'm looking at the comments as well. And a lot of the stuff that I see in the comments, you have work to do. You have questions, and they're genuinely good questions. And I have answers to that. But again, the answers that I give you are on the other side of something dressed in overalls called work. You need to do the fucking work. Without it, you're not going to get what you want out of life. Just going to keep spinning around. It's like, spinning your tires on fucking mud. Like, what's the point? So if you want to take it seriously, that's the way to do it. I hope you guys enjoyed the cast. I hope you guys watch it. I hope you guys share it with somebody that needs to see it. The greatest compliment you can give me is share my content, right? That's the stuff that helps build this stuff out. And also in the mid-roll, I'm self-funded here, guys. I don't take on sponsors. I don't push anything that's not my own shit anymore. I've done that in the past. I don't do it anymore. For the last several years, the only things that I promote, my communities, my supplement line, which I personally use myself, my own shit. I use everything that I talk about in the supplement line when I train, when I'm trying to get my weight down to what I'm supposed to be at to look respectable for a man my age. because I have some work to do. I'll be honest with you. I'll show you the before and afters when I get to the after, but I'm fucking doing the work myself. All of that stuff there. You need one-on-one consults with me. Book it. You need help with something. This is what I do, guys. This is my fucking job. I hope you guys had a good time tonight. We'll see you. This episode is sponsored by yours truly. Gentlemen, if you're new here, your starting point is to get on my email list and join 50,000 other readers. Just scroll down and opt in over here with your information. And that's where you can download the free chapters on the 21 red flags to avoid and the 16 green flags to seek in long-term relationships. Just navigate to entrepreneursincars.com/red-flags and get started there. Beyond that, there's book 1, The Unplugged Alpha, which has sold over 250,000 copies and summarizes the way the world and women truly work. And then there's book 2, recently released, The Top Shelf Man, which takes you far deeper down the rabbit hole and is about how the top 5% of men get everything they want out of life and women. Both books are very highly rated. I guarantee that you'll love them both. You can find them on Amazon. Now, brothers, if you like me and you take what you put in your body very seriously, you're going to want to use the Unplugged Alpha supplement line. It's the obsession with engineering higher absorption rates that sets my line apart from the others. You want to make sure that you absorb as much of the supplements as possible so you don't end up peeing out expensive urine and wasting your money. My supplement line is made in the United States from the highest quality ingredients, and unlike your typical cheap supplements in plastic bottles that originated from China, only quality supplements ship in dark glass bottles to keep your supplements fresher, longer, and don't seep endocrine-disrupting microplastics into your supplements that end up in your body. You can filter all products by your goals, including testosterone support, estrogen metabolism, fat burning, sleep support, and performance. Just visit theunpluggedalpha.com/shop and use the subscribe and save option to get 10% off your recurring supplement orders. Or check out my brand new testosterone bundle and save as much as 18% when you stack them all together. And lastly, if you've enjoyed my books and video content, you're going to absolutely love the School of Unplugging, which is my private community for men. Inside, you'll find over 50 hours of never before seen videos in a private classroom setting that'll teach you how to level up and apply the 7 spokes of a high value man to your life so that you can get the results that you're looking for. You can just copy and paste all the simple formulas to success on wealth creation, improving your looks, status, captivation, game, frame, and so much more with other men on their own unplugging journey. There's also a well-organized discussion board, meetups in real life, weekly Zoom calls that are recorded, held by me and my team of experts, all for a monthly membership that costs less than a cup of coffee, and there is brand new content being added every single month. The calendar tab makes spotting exactly what it is that you're looking for very simple, and all you do is you add it to your own calendar. See the description below for a link to everything I just mentioned above, or visit richcooper.ca, and on the courses tab, you can navigate to the School of Unplugging. Guys, make sure you check out the rest of my personal website and everything else, or to request a private one-on-one consultation with me. Now let's get on with the show.